Cause if you think I'm here to play around with y'all, God damn it, I'm not. All right.
That nigga gay, nigga gay, nigga gay, nigga gay, nigga gay, nigga gay.
Want to be masculine showing, but bend over bandits.
And well, guys, if I could still show you around, here is the biggest, gayest man in the world.
Wow. So gay. So gay. So gay.
Can a nigga live? Can a nigga live? Please.
How we doing out there tonight, y'all? Hit that like button for me, guys. We're getting started in just a minute. I hope Don goes to jail tonight, y'all. I hope tonight's the night.
You know what, Donald Trump, fuck you. Just fuck all the way off. What an asshole and a small-minded, small dick shit to do. Like, you have no couth. You are an immature child. You are a bigot, a fucking racist, and a small penis asshole. Yeah, I said that. Just hateful and delusional. And you have the nerve to be upset because people were critical of Charlie Kirk's, what he said before he died, how he talked about black people and women and all, and you have the nerve to be all up in arms about that. Just fuck all the way off. That just shows me that you were just grifting off of Charlie Kirk's death. But you don't give a shit about respecting someone when they die. You don't care. You care about yourself. And you are preaching and promoting hate. It's just vile. It makes me sick that you are president of the United States. It's embarrassing. You are an embarrassment to this country. It's just gross. I don't even know how else. I mean, it's just, I hate to even say it. Like, I hate to even say your name. I don't even like to hear your voice. It's so gross. It sounds like you're vomiting when you talk. Everything is like that. And you wonder where all the hate comes from in this country. It comes from you. You are the promoter of hate in this country. the example of it. And you expect people to respect you when you have no respect for other people and zero respect for the office that you hold. And so I'm giving you the same energy that you give others. That's how I feel about it. Fuck you, piece of shit. If Rob Reiner can't say it, I'm going to say it for him.
We do start this Martin Luther King Day monitoring the tense situation in Minneapolis, where some 1,500 troops could soon be deployed amid ongoing unrest. This as several hotels across the Twin Cities, including some housing federal officers, are closing down due to bomb threats. Those threats coming following a weekend of escalating tensions between protesters, law enforcement, and agitators who have descended on the city to capitalize on the unrest and create social media content. One far-right influencer holding an anti-immigration rally, leading to a chaotic confrontation on the streets of downtown Minneapolis and further destabilizing the situation. But one of the most shocking moments from the weekend coming yesterday when protesters entered a church where an ICE agent allegedly serves as a pastor and disrupted the service.
He's an ICE agent and a pastor? Huh. It's probably a good church considering it's in Minneapolis. Like, they're probably still woke, but, you know, an ICE agent and a pastor is a good start. I like that. I like that. Hey, Pastor Ice is a great name. Listen, you're going to get this Jesus one way or another, all right? Don't make my pastor deport you to heaven, right? Pastor said you're going to get this Jesus, all right?
The Department of Justice is now saying it is investigating that group for potentially violating the churchgoers' rights to exercise their freedom of religion. And now the Department of War saying it is readying 1,500 active duty troops to deploy to the area if President Trump decides to invoke the Insurrection Act, something the city's mayor is speaking out against on NBC's Meet the Press just yesterday.
In Minneapolis, crime is dramatically down. We don't need more federal agents to keep people safe. We are safe. Violent crime is down. Shootings are down. Carjackings are down in virtually every category, in virtually every neighborhood in the city. You know what's causing more chaos? Having these thousands of ICE agents and border control and apparently military even potentially on our streets.
News Nation has been on the ground since the very beginning of these protests. We continue to be there today. Mills Hayes, live in Minneapolis. Mills, we were just here live together about 12 hours ago. I just checked. It is -4 degrees where you are right now. What are you monitoring today?
Hi, Natasha. We're actually in St. Paul outside of the church where that protest happened yesterday. St. Paul police telling me that about 30 to 40 protesters interrupted the church service Sunday morning and that they did receive multiple 911 calls when this happened. People confused about exactly what was going on. Now, this protest happened early Sunday morning. The group going inside the church, interrupting the services and chanting things like justice for Renee Good, ICE out for good, hands up, don't shoot. And we could hear some of those protesters asking people if they supported ICE. And it appears that they were targeting the church because they believe that one of the pastors was a local ICE official.
You like ICE? No, sir. I understand that what is happening is wrong, and I agree with that, but this can't happen. This can't. This is the house of the Lord. To do this is unjust.
Attorney General Pam Bondi says she spoke with the pastor of that church, saying that she's prepared to use the full force of federal law on attacks against law enforcement and the intimidation of Christians. The congregation's lead pastor said interruptions were shameful and asked anyone who wasn't worshiping to leave. ICE posting on X that agitators are going from hotel to hotel, church to church, hunting for federal law enforcement who are risking their lives to protect officers. Meanwhile, I did speak with one of the organizers of the event. Take a listen.
Do you guys feel like perhaps maybe you went too far? I know that there was one guy
Absolutely not. Listen. I'm not going to go down this line of questioning with you. This is gaslighting. Who has gone too far is Donald Trump, Kristi Noem, J.D. Vance, and the people who run ICE.
She tells me that they're not worried about the Department of Justice investigating them because they investigate everyone. That's what she said. And she also says that they feel like the media focusing on this is gaslighting the American people about what's happening here. Now, we also do know DHS sources confirming that an ICE supervisor is one of the pastors at this church here, Natasha.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our News Nation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.
Good morning, and we're talking about what happened at this church in St. Paul. This shows the degree to which these protests have expanded in Minneapolis, and this particular incident is now triggering a federal investigation. A group of protesters stormed and disrupted a Sunday church service because of one of the pastor's possible connections to ICE. The U.S. Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights announced there would be a federal probe over this, writing this on X. The Civil Rights Division is investigating the potential violations of the Federal FACE Act by these people, desecrating a house of worship and interfering with Christian worshipers. The White House, meantime, is considering a federal troop deployment to Minnesota with 1,500 troops now on standby. President Trump has raised the possibility of invoking the Insurrection Act if the violent protests there continue. And that drew a swift rebuke from the mayor of Minneapolis.
This act was clearly designed to intimidate the people of Minneapolis. And here's the thing. We're not going to be intimidated. If the goal here is safety, we've got many mechanisms to achieve safety. Right now, we have about 600 police officers, and they've got 3,000 or so ICE agents and border control. That they are now talking about deploying 1,500 military. This is, well, it's ridiculous, but we will not be intimidated by the actions of this federal government.
The troops are from the U.S. Army's 11th Airborne Division. They're based in Alaska, and they specialize in cold weather operations. They are now on standby should the president order them in. Todd and Carly.
All right, Doug Lazater live for us in Washington. Doug, thank you. Let's bring in former DHS advisor and former Secret Service Supervisory Special Agent Charles Moreno. Charles, thank you so much for joining us. So over the weekend, as Doug was laying out, you had the disruption of this church service where people who were praying were forced to leave. Many people across the country are going to see that as a bridge too far. There's this other viral video that shows an ICE agent speaking directly to the camera as protesters were honking their horns, saying, what you guys are doing right now, you're supporting a child sex predator who we are trying to arrest. So that video is also going viral. Just your thoughts on these two incidents as these protests are still raging on in Minneapolis.
Well, good morning. There's been a lot of red lines crossed already, both by the governor and the mayor of Minneapolis, as well as these protest groups, some originating from the local area. But as this continues to expand, many protest groups will continue to originate from outside the area and even the region as they become more organized and more disruptive. Look, unfortunately, the position of Democrats and sanctuary cities is not going to change anytime soon. They are going to continue to play a role in inciting and obstructing when it comes to the enforcement of federal immigration laws. And they'll continue to villainize ICE at every opportunity they get. This can all be much simpler for authorities in Minneapolis if they collaboratively worked with ICE, allowed them into the jails, and allowed their state and local law enforcement to work with them. But that's not something that they choose to do. Instead, they choose to give unrealistic ultimatums to the federal government, saying that in order for things to be peaceful, ICE needs to leave. And that is never going to happen.
So, in light of what you just said, we have federal troops that are at the ready, in position, should Donald Trump send in the troops, the federal troops, to Minnesota.
The video is unbelievable. But one thing that's different about this particular riot is that it's inside a church. That by itself, what they're doing is illegal, what's depicted in the video. And you can see who's doing it. But even more than that, Bill, one of the principal organizers of this riot self-identified on Facebook. Her name is Nikki Minaj. I overlapped with her at the University of St. Thomas Law School in Minneapolis for a few years.
Yes, it was a Black woman. Akeisha is behind it all.
She's an attorney, and she claims credit. She's proud of what she refers to as our demonstration, and she refers to other organizers. She identifies other organizers, Black Lives Matter Minnesota and Black Lives Twin Cities. And all of this together kind of takes you back to the summer of George Floyd in 2020, when rioters did about $500 million worth of property damage around the Twin Cities. The insult of this disruption of a church service seems to me like an expansion of the battlefield in a way that's just unbelievable.
Okay, so this Armstrong woman that you just described, this is what she apparently told the Associated Press. If people are more concerned about someone coming to a church on a Sunday and disrupting business as usual than they are about the atrocities that we're experiencing in our community, then they need to check their theology and the need to check their hearts. We just put a graphic up on screen. Involved in disruptions at the City Church in St. Paul, former president NCAA Minneapolis, former professor of law, charged with multiple misdemeanors related to participation in a BLM protest back in 2014. So she's been around your streets, Scott.
She left the University of St. Thomas Law School 10 years ago to pursue a career as a so-called, in quotes, freedom fighter. So according to her, that's what this is all about, but trying to understand the logic.
She left law school to become a freedom fighter. It must pay well.
Of her statement is difficult. I think it takes you into the mentality of the difficulties that ICE is facing in trying to impose order in the Twin Cities.
Let's take a look inside the church, people. Hit that like button. Shout out to Chocolate Bunny, gifting memberships to the church. Thank y'all so much for coming through. Hit that like button, y'all.
Get it again. Okay, I'm going to say it again. I come in the name of Jesus. Repeat it after me, bitch. I come in the name of Jesus by the power of the Holy Spirit.
The Tracy, you want to get your house in order? That is correct.
Renee Good! Renee Good! Renee Good! Renee Good! Renee Good! Don't shoot! 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 Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are your people? Why are you not at Whipple every day fighting for the humanity, standing for our people? Where are you? You drink your coffee, you got your jewelry, you have your nice clothes, but what do you do? What do you do to stand for your Somali and Latino communities? You have no comment. Exactly. Renee Good! Renee Good! Freedom! We have a duty to fight. We have a duty to win. We have a duty to win. We must love and support one another. All these comfortable white people who are living lavish, comfortable lives while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're living real life, nice lives with your lattes, doing absolutely nothing for your Latino and Somali brothers and sisters. You come here to a man wearing a suit as a preacher. Did Jesus wear a suit? Did Jesus profit off the words? No, Jesus would dine with immigrants. You do not touch me. Touch me again and see what happens.
Hey, you can't.
You are a fake Christian. Why are you not standing with your Somali and Latino communities? Why do I not see you out at Whipple every day protesting this attack on humanity? Where are you? You're sinners. You're pretending to be Christians. But we know you live an easy life, don't you? A very easy life while people are starving. Shame. Out now. Out now. Living real comfortable while the people starve. Living real comfortable while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're all living real comfortable, aren't you? Shame on you.
You know, people think that the Germans all went like under the spell of this one guy who just like gave really, really powerful speeches. You know, he looked really good in a cloak. People really think that the Germans just fell in love with the guy because he was just him. And you got to understand, things like this were happening on the ground all the time. And then he became him.
Something. Stand with the Somalis. Stand with the Latinos. Quit ignoring this injustice. He wears a suit and tie, and he hangs out with Kristi Noem. How is that a Christian? You're supposed to accept all immigrants, are you not? Why are you not going down to Whipple and joining us in protest against this inhumanity? You claim to be a Christian. Act like one.
I don't necessarily agree with everything that's going on in the Twin Cities right now, but I don't think it's good to fight fire with fire. I think it's good to speak up. I think it's good to protest, but I think it's better to do it in a peaceful way. I don't think the answer is going into God's church.
You don't think this is peaceful?
Well, it's trespassing.
Nobody fighting.
It's trespassing. How would you feel if I went to your house and I started yelling?
It depends on what I did, but not in my house. That's a whole different thing. I think these people would go inside of anybody's house.
Well, this is a house of God.
Which makes it everybody's house.
Don Lemon thinks these people wouldn't invade somebody's house. And while they are literally defending people invading the country, by the way.
Yes, it is. But in a house, people don't yell at each other.
Yeah, but there was a lot of yelling in my house growing up. We still loved each other.
Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean that yelling is the answer, right?
And look at the gay man smiling as people assault you. I want you to think about that. Look at the gay man as he smiles as people like forcefully assault you and mock your faith.
Sorry? That doesn't necessarily mean yelling is the answer, right?
No, but I think it's the way you work things out is that you talk to each other, you disagree. Sometimes it's heated, sometimes it's not. But at the end of the day, we're all human beings. And I think maybe if the pastor would like try to calm things down and say, let's all talk and together and make this peaceful and not be so us against them.
I think that's good to talk, but then why don't we do that, right?
Yeah.
I don't think trespassing,
And notice how all these leftists work, right? They go out of their way to provoke you. And then their answer is, well, if you just behave better, I'll stop being an asshole. Like, that is not how it works. This is why ultimately you have to ignore the news and just be at peace with the violence that they provoke. Whenever it happens to them, just be okay with it. Helicopter rides for everybody, y'all.
Protesting on the streets is fine, but I think there's a difference between that and then going into someone's property and then.
I wonder how much helicopter fuel is nowadays anyway. Like, how much is a gallon of helicopter gas, you know? I'm curious, just theoretically.
David Easterwood is a pastor here. He is also the director of the field office for ICE in St. Paul. So someone who claims to worship God, teaching people in this church about God, is out there overseeing ICE agents. Think about about what we've experienced. The murder of Renee Good at the hands of ICE. A Venezuelan national shot by ICE. A 6-month-old baby who almost died as a result of ICE unleashing military-grade weapons on our community. How dare you claim to be a pastor of God and you are involved in evil in our community?
Do you think Jesus would be understanding?
We're about worship.
These folks.
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them?
No.
And then the nerve of a gay man walking into a church accusing them of evil. You're not even like a closeted, shameful gay trying to hide your sin from the world. You're out there and proud. You're loud and proud with it. And then you're going to walk into church and tell them they're evil. The nerve.
Gathered for worship, which we do every Sunday, and we were interrupted by this group of protesters. Yeah. We asked them to leave, and they obviously have not left.
In this, we will pursue charges in this case. I see various crimes that have occurred. Exactly what they are, I'm not going to flag, but the FACE Act has been mentioned as one of the predicates there. In other cases, the Biden DOJ used the Klan Act conspiracy charges tacked on to the FACE Act in the case of protests outside abortion clinics to bring much longer sentences. So there are a number of tools available to us. Who funded this? What else? What other crimes may have occurred? Was there a use of the wires or the mails in preparing for this event? Did anyone cross state lines to do this? All of those are potential predicates for additional federal charges.
I mean, I've just pulled up the Klan Act because this is the first time that I've heard this mentioned. This is a act that was passed in 1871, correction there, to combat the Ku Klux Klan and protect African Americans' voting rights, especially.
Yeah, you heard that. We're charging gay black men with the Klan Act, y'all. In 2026, gay black men will be charged with the Klan Act. You didn't even know that's what you voted for, but that's what you voted for.
Somebody had to do it. I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it.
Predicates for additional federal charges.
I mean, I've just pulled up the Klan Act because this is the first time that I've heard this mentioned. This is a act that was passed in 1871, correction there, to combat the Ku Klux Klan and protect African Americans' voting rights, especially the Enforcement Act, which is known as the Force Act. So here's some of the information on screen. Would you mind breaking down for us, because we have just read the FACE Act and how this is an affinity to the FACE Act, an obvious and egregious demonstrable violation of the FACE Act because they were entering a place of worship, harassing and threatening. We just played a video of a bearded man who was threatening to attack the Christians that were worshiping there. So it seems like an obvious FACE Act violation. But the Klan Act here, it is on screen. First time I've heard it mentioned. Can you unpack this for us, Harmeet?
Yeah, the Klan Act is one of the most important federal civil rights statutes, and it goes back to the time when President Lincoln emancipated the slaves, and yet the southern states, Dixiecrats mainly, were refusing to give them equal rights. And in fact, that you had sheriffs and you had law enforcement harassing the newly freed slaves. So the Klan Act is a law that makes it illegal to terrorize citizens, to violate their civil rights, to get together and conspire to violate the civil rights. It is often used against law enforcement, but is now used against others as well. So whenever anyone conspires to violate the protected civil rights of American citizens, the Klan Act can be used to bring a conspiracy charge. We, in the federal law enforcement parlance, call this 241 and 242 civil and criminal conspiracies. And so what the Biden administration did is, if 3 grandmas got together to pray outside an abortion clinic for the souls of the people inside, and including the unborn children, they would say, oh, that's not just a violation of the Klan Act, that's a conspiracy to violate the civil rights of women going in there to get abortions. And so we're going to add additional charges and punish that more and make it from a misdemeanor under the FACE Act to a felony under the Klan Act. And President Trump pardoned the pro-life protesters in those cases. I have recently defended successfully in the 11th Circuit a case called Oropesa, a case of Jane's Revenge, the pro-abortion protesters violently attacking crisis pregnancy centers in Florida. And we had the court uphold the Klan Act criminal enhancement to the FACE Act. So I know this is very deep in the weeds, but the point is, there are a number of things. The FACE Act is just the start. Like I said, you have material support for disruptive activities. You have conspiracy to violate civil rights. You have potentially the use.
Are the Democrats the new Klan? Which is weird because the Democrats are the old Klan. I don't know how to feel about that. The Democrats are the Klan back now? Is that what's happening? This is really ironic when you think about it, though. Think about this whole thing. Shout out to Solid Snake passing out memberships. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. Please step forward.
Get it again. Okay, I'm gonna say it again. I come in the name of Jesus. Repeat it after me, bitch. I come in the name of Jesus by the power of the Holy Spirit.
So the old Klan is the new Klan again. And all we had to do was dust off some old laws, just wipe the dust off this old law book and just get back to business again. All right. I like that.
Of other instrumentalities to commit crimes. And so some of these folks who did this have self-identified. Don Lemon himself has come out and said he knew exactly what was going to happen inside that facility. He went into the facility and then he began, quote unquote, committing journalism. And as if that's sort of a shield from being an embedded part of a criminal conspiracy.
Yeah. You screaming journalism in the middle of a crime isn't going to help you. That's like you break into somebody's house and you have a GoPro camera. And then when the people who own the house show up, you're like, journalism. No, that's not how it works, buddy.
Isn't. And so, we're getting our ducks in a row. We're putting the facts together. And this is a very serious matter. Come next Sunday, nobody should think in the United States that they're going to be able to get away with this. Everyone in the...
Is I'm just a journalist the new I'm just a girl? Carmen, is that how that works? I'm just a journalist now. I'm just a girl. I'm just a journalist. Whatever. Same shit. I'm just a gay. Is it all the same shit now? Don Lemon is going to go to jail for aggressive acts of gay journalism.
Protest community.
Aggravated gay journalism. 5 to 10. You'll be out in 4 with good behavior.
Needs to know that the fullest force of the federal government is going to come down and prevent this from happening and put people away for a long, long time.
Shout out to Don Lemon committing aggravated gay journalism in a church. Aggravated gay journalism in the house of the Lord.
Pastor of the church. Our church had gathered for worship, which we do every Sunday, and we were interrupted by this group of protesters. Yeah. We asked them to leave, and they obviously have not left. So, what do you think of this? I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship. So, but there were folks. I have to take care of my flock. Okay, but listen, we live in there's a constitution in the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest. Yeah. We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world is Jesus Christ. I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me though.
Now, I hate to do this, but I have to point this out at least one time. We've been talking about the weird psychosexual drama playing out with leftist liberal white women. And here you have Don Lemon accosting a white man of the church. And I got to tell you, I just can't help but to imagine he is also acting out a psychosexual power bottom drama in his mind right now. Like, he's wanted to do something like this all the time. Just like right up on the altar, just, yeah, white boys. Like, he just couldn't wait to do some shit like this. I'm telling you.
We're here to worship Jesus. Yes. That's why we're here. Yeah. Okay. That's why we're here. Okay. That's what we're about.
Do you think Jesus would be understanding
we're about
and love these folks?
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them as a
no
Christian?
one is willing to talk.
Okay.
I have to take care of my church and my family, so I asked that you actually would also leave this building.
You don't want us to
unless you're here to worship. Unless you're here to worship.
I'm always worship. I'm a Christian.
We're here to worship.
Yeah.
We're here to worship. Okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So that's one of the pastors of the church.
Palandra says, notice they would never pull up on a mosque. Ironically, they did go to a mosque. That one angry white guy, I think I got the footage. Hold on. Speaking of pulling up on a mosque, just because you mentioned it, you know, this is how audience interaction works, right? You mention a thing, and I have the thing that you mentioned. You want to talk about a thing? Let's talk about a thing.
To the local Somali mosque, and as you can see how beautiful it is, this is where they do their prayer. This is where normally 500 people will, come and make prayer, but things are quiet because the local community is scared to come out. They're terrified. It was an honor to be invited to this mosque, but it was surreal to be there, and it made me feel good about my actions in that white supremacist church earlier. How can these people be not afraid to go out of their homes, afraid to go practice their prayer, while these rich white people can live like nothing's happening and ignore it completely? It's unjust. It's un-American. What is freedom if it only applies to white people? This is the first neighborhood that I started to see the riverside. Gotcha.
He looks like a guy that owns a really creepy van. You just look like a guy that owns a van. One of those guys that you tell your kids to stay away from.
8,000 to 10,000 Somalis live here. And you said this was one of the first Somali mosques? This is the first mosque, Imam Shafi'i. Okay, got you. Intersection, see the riverside, West Bank, right next to the University of Minnesota. Gotcha. And we just thank you for having us here today. We're very grateful, and we won't forget about your community. Traveling and fighting for the right cause. We really appreciate you guys coming to the Twin Cities. Thank you, Jolly. Thank you, Walk Farmer. Thank you. So we've been invited by some Somali elders to come eat some of their beautiful food. Look at that. Oh, God, dude. This is fucking something. Look at that. Please go check out this restaurant we ate at tonight. It was freaking delicious.
Notice how they always cuck for a gyro. Why is it always about tacos and gyros and exotic meals and whatnot? Chicken poop deloo and shit like that. Like, really amazing.
These people have come into our house and they've interrupted our worship. This is a house of peace, and we try to proclaim that. And this stirs division and rancor. And in the end, it's not helpful. Ultimately, I believe they've lost. They've emptied a house of worship. Everybody's gone home. Their point has been proven worthless. And so, in the end, I think they lose. But more importantly, if I was to break into any of their houses uninvited, cause derision and upset according to their values, I would be kicked out ultimately. It's not a good way. I feel violated. I feel interrupted. I feel angry.
May I ask you something? When you were saying if you had showed up at their house, they're saying that people are showing up at houses where they're citizens without due process and breaking and entering the house. One that we saw, I've been watching from New York, with a battering ram into someone's private property, and there's no recourse. There's no, you understand what I'm saying?
This is all part of a much larger dialogue, in my opinion. On one side are people who watched a previous administration bring 12 million people in over the course of 4 years, and many of them undocumented, many of them criminals, etc. This is another administration's corrective. Now, whether you agree with the policies or procedures, I think I could actually be sympathetic to some of the things where there have been challenges to fashion and decency. At the same time, these are what are called targeted interventions by ICE to keep the American people safe.
If I respectfully may interject here, I've been out reporting on a lot of these, and they're not targeted. There are no warrants signed by a judge, let me finish. And they're American citizens, many of them. Most of the people that they detain don't have criminal.
Did Don Lemon just lie in church again?
These, and they're not targeted. Safe. If I respectfully may interject here, I've been out reporting on a lot of these, and
you said you've been out reporting on a lot of these, but a minute ago you said you were watching from your home in New York City.
This administration brings 12 million.
There's no recourse without due process.
I feel interrupted. I feel angry.
May I ask you something? When you were saying if you had showed up at their house, they're saying that people are showing up at houses where they're citizens without due process and breaking and entering their house. One that we saw, I've been watching from New York, with a battering ram into someone's private property.
So were you watching from New York, or were you out covering this in the field as a journalist? Which one is it?
And
I mean, he is a homosexual man. He's a black man married to a white man. Of course, he's going to tell all kinds of tales in church, right?
There's no recourse. There's no, you understand what I'm saying?
This is all part of a much larger dialogue, in my opinion. On one side are people who watched a previous administration bring 12 million people in over the course of 4 years, and many of them undocumented, many of them criminals, etc. This is another administration's corrective. Now, whether you agree with the policies or procedures, I think I could actually be sympathetic to some of the things where there have been challenges to fashion and decency. At the same time, these are what are called targeted interventions by ICE to keep the American people safe.
If I respectfully may interject here, I've been out reporting on a lot of these, and they're not targeted. There are no warrants signed by a judge, and let me finish. And they're American citizens, many of them. Most of the people that they detain don't have criminal convictions or criminal records.
I'm not going to get into the weeds.
But you should know that, though. Don't you think that's part of it?
Yes, and I could also show you many opposing sides where we're also picking up the very criminals that have put Americans in danger. And I'm not saying it's pretty. I'm not saying it's not messy. I'm not saying it couldn't be better. I'm saying this is a part of a much larger dialogue in which one administration caused a great deal of chaos and havoc and danger for American citizens, and another is trying to correct that.
Do you believe that? Why honestly,
Okay,
let me talk to you
listen,
just on the
you're not
facts.
a journalist.
Yes, I am. I want to give you the facts.
No.
Did you know that undocumented people and immigrants commit far less crime than...
You're not a journalist, Don. You're out here trying to lecture people. You came into the white man's church trying to preach.
Than American citizens?
We're done here. We're done here.
Then natural-born Americans. You won't listen.
If you could ask,
I'm giving you the facts. It is.
Give me facts. I would have a conversation.
But I can respond to you.
No,
But
Did Jesus stand with the oppressed?
Because he doesn't want to listen to facts. That's the interesting thing about this, is that they won't listen to facts.
Now, this is why Don Lemon needs to be charged along with anybody else that you would charge for this crime, because he is not just, a passive observer. You are behaving like one of the protesters. You are attempting to get this person to be a part of your cause. You have clearly chosen a side. You are on a side. Now you're in the middle of the protest advocating for the same side as the protesters. You are as guilty as anybody who should be charged in this.
No.
You won't, because
when you
because
pose
it's
as a journalist,
I am a
and you
journalist.
ask me
Journalists give
questions,
facts.
and then you start correcting me with facts, and don't have.
You shouldn't hear the facts.
Of course,
That
I should
most
hear
of the people
facts.
who are picked up
But
are
will you
not.
give me the
have
facts
no,
on both sides? No.
That is the facts on both sides. Most of the people who are picked up and are detained are not convicted. They have no criminal convictions. They have no criminal record. None. That immigrants commit far less crime than native-born Americans. So they won't listen to the facts. Anyways, these folks are still out here.
And so Don Lemon heard that the DOJ was after him, and he started getting a little shaky.
MAGA administration and the fake news MAGAs are losing their mind over something that's not even true. So let me just make it clear, because this a assistant attorney general, I don't know, gosh, what's her name? Something Hammett, Gillen or whatever. So I had no affiliation to that organization. I didn't even know they were going to this church until we followed them there. We were there chronicling protests. Once the protest started in the church, we did an act of journalism, which was report on it and talk to the people who were involved, which included the pastor, members of the church, and members of the organization. That's it. It's called journalism. First Amendment, all that stuff. For all of you people who believe in the First Amendment, absolutist, there you go. So why don't you talk to the actual person who is in charge of the organization and whose idea it was to have the protest at the church before you start blaming me for stuff for which you have no idea. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
And so then Don, he goes to that funny looking white lady, her podcast, to cry about it.
I want to remind everybody that Don Lemon is a Black man, and today is Martin Luther King Day. And I have to join us right now, none other than best friend of iHip News, Don Lemon. Don, how did you hear about this?
I heard of someone texted me and said, "Oh my gosh, I'm really sorry that you're going through this." And I said, "Going through what?" Because I've been traveling all night. I was in Minnesota, and that's how I heard about it. But I haven't heard anything from anybody, DOJ officially. I've just heard lots of people just yapping, on either the internet, on social media, or on conservative, podcasts or Fox News.
All right, so
yeah, that's right. That's right, Carmen. He's Black and it's MLK Day, so be nice, y'all. Did y'all forget it's MLK Day? You got to be nice to a Black guy today.
Give me the money. Give me the money for all I would do. Give me the money.
walk us through this. You went to Minnesota. You're an independent journalist. I'm sure everybody's abundantly clear with your work. And you are reporting on all of these ICE protests, and you end up at a church. Is that what this is regarding?
Yeah. So I went to Minneapolis to cover the unrest there. And I was asking people what's going on the ground. I'm going to get there. Should I go directly to the Whipple, whatever? And they said, well, there's this thing happening that they've been sending out flyers for. Perhaps you want to cover this. So I said, sure. And I went, okay, I'll cover. And then when I went to cover it, they said, we're doing this protest that is sort of similar to the civil rights movement, where they show up places and they sort of disrupt the peace, like sitting in at lunch counters or, drinking out of water fountains that were only supposed to be for white people. And I said, sure, I'll go, I'll chronicle it. And they ended up at a church. I didn't even know they were going to a church. They ended up at a church. And so once they went in and did their thing, other journalists started going in, and I went in. So I'm not exactly sure, Jen, how I became the face of it, unless they just think I'm the bigger name, but it's bizarre. And I reported on it. I interviewed everyone there, the pastor, some of the congregants, and the protesters. And that was it. And now all of a sudden it blew up into this big thing where I am the one who is leading the protest, and somehow I'm the agitator here when I'm just the journalist.
That's right. You're going to go to jail for aggressive gay journalism. Going to do 5 years. You're going to come out and write a book.
And so this church, it is friendly, is ICE friendly, is my understanding.
That's the reporting. So according to the group, and I have not been able to confirm this again because this wasn't my movement. I am chronicling what happened. They said that they found evidence that someone who is a pastor or registered as a pastor there is also an ICE agent or works in some capacity with ICE. And they said they had information about that. And they think that if that is the case, why are you a pastor at a church if you were working as an ICE agent? And so that's what their skirmish was about. That's what they went in to protest. And that's what I went in just to report on.
Well, I can certainly understand their frustration with that, because all of the grifting through Christianity and overt patriotism, and then these people can't call out the Jeffrey Epstein pedophilia ring. It's very alarming. But I took from your Instagram, you interviewed this pastor, and let's watch this together from your Instagram, and then I want to get your take on what was going on. Play the clip.
Okay.
What do you think of this? I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship. So,
but there were folks who will.
I have to take care of my flock.
Okay, but listen, we live there's a constitution in the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest.
Yeah. We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus, because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world, is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me, though.
We're here to worship Jesus.
Yes.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why we're here. That's what we're about.
Do you think Jesus would be understanding
we're about
love these folks?
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them as a
no
Christian?
one is willing to talk.
Okay.
I have to take care of my church and my family, so I asked that you actually would also leave this building.
You don't want us to
unless you're here to worship. Unless you're here to worship.
I'm always worship. I'm a Christian.
We're here to worship. We're here to worship. Okay.
Don said he's a Christian, y'all. I'm not even gonna bother. I'm not gonna bother. It's too easy. It's just too much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Weird to me that he's all about, this is the type of Christianity I grew up around. Recruiting, but not helping, not comforting, not providing. Like, these people are hurting. These people that ICE are targeting are suffering. They're marginalized. And I thought you did an excellent job with the pastor saying, don't you think Jesus would want to talk to these people and help these people?
Christianity believes in, friends and enemies and whatnot. You help your friends first and all that. You don't just invite demons into the house of the Lord.
Yeah. Well, and also remember, as someone who wrote the book and was on your show wrote a book about God, Jesus turned the tables over in the temple, right? He flipped the tables because he was tired of them, not doing what they're supposed to do in his Father's house and not living up to the tenets of Christianity. And so, it is surprising to me if it is true that this person somehow works for ICE, and also it is true that they're not understanding now of the protesters, is that they're doing the exact opposite of what Christianity is supposed to be about. And I say in the reporting, Jen, if you look at it, and if you go and look at the full thing, I say it's interesting that you see the people over here praying and then the people over here protesting, but if they got together, they could solve this problem if you had people understanding, but it doesn't seem like anyone wanted to talk to each other. Now, I think the protesters actually went there to talk to these guys, obviously
Now here we go with the cover and the spin. Oh, I think they went there to talk. Isn't that oh, never mind. I'm not even gonna make these jokes. You know what? Let me stop. Sometimes I go too far. And I haven't even started really drinking yet, so I'm not gonna go that far. Let me stop. Yeah, I just wanted to talk. Okay, whatever.
disrupt, true, but I think they went there to talk to them. And I think if the pastor, what I would have done, Jen, is I would have said, no, we live in a country where we welcome dissent. We welcome peaceable, the right to peaceably assemble. We welcome that. And so We may not like it. It is uncomfortable, but that's what protest is about, discomfort. So since you're here, let's please calm down. Let's try to talk. What would you like us to do? What do you want us to know? What would you like us to hear? What can we do to help you in our Father's house, in the people's house? What can we do?
What if we should just defend your Father's house? What if that's what we should do? What if the proper thing to do is to cast demons out of your Father's house? Right? I mean, I don't know. I'm not the expert. I don't claim to have all the answers, but I'm just saying, theoretically, what if you decide the thing to do is to cast demons out of your Father's house? You know, just a thought.
So, yeah. Guys standing up now saying, get out of our church. He's screaming. They're trying to calm him down. So I don't know if this is what they deem as successful or not. But anyways, I'm not going to get in the middle of it because I'm not here as an activist. I'm here as a journalist. So I don't think they know what to do. I'm sure they probably called the local authorities right now, and they'll show up in a bit. But so far, no one.
I can't imagine Don Lemon or a bunch of these crazy white liberals running up in a black church doing this. And this is another thing too. This is like just a fact of human nature. People go for softer targets. That's why they went to that mosque, very nice and respectful, because everybody knows how crazy those guys get, right? But in America, in the West, white folk in the house of the Lord are very, very peaceful. There was that one time, I think there was like a mass shooting attempt in a church in Texas, and one of the guys happened to be armed, and he stopped it with his weapon, which was awesome. But other than that, very, very peaceful white people in church.
Has been hurt. People are just really angry and upset, and members of the church are trying to get them to calm down. But this is the beginning of what's going to happen here. When you violate people's due process, when you pull people off the street and you start dragging them and hurting them and not abiding by the Constitution, when you start doing all of that, people get upset and angry. And if you remember what the Civil Rights Movement was about, the Civil Rights Movement was about these very kinds of protests. And for some reason, in our modern era, people think that in order to have protests, you got to be tells you what time you can protest. You can protest at any time. That's the whole point of it, is to disrupt, to make uncomfortable. And that's what they're doing. And that's what I believe when I say everyone has to be willing to sacrifice something. You have to make people uncomfortable in these times. If you see how uncomfortable people uncomfortably.
And now the federal government is making Don Lemon uncomfortable. It might get even more uncomfortable when he actually goes to federal prison, but, you know, he's probably not going to go. He's going to get, like, you know, community service or some shit. He's not going to go to jail. Guys like Don Lemon don't really go to jail.
You can see all these pretend Christians, all these comfortable white people who are living lavish, comfortable lives while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're living real life, nice lives with your lattes, doing absolutely nothing for your Latino and Somali brothers and sisters. You come here to a man wearing a suit. Is a preacher? Did Jesus wear a suit? Did Jesus profit off the words? No, Jesus would dine with immigrants. Do not touch me. Touch me again and see what happens.
Hey, you can't.
You are a fake Christian. Why are you not standing with your Somali and Latino communities? Why do I not see you out at Whipple every day protesting this attack on humanity? Where are you? You're sinners. You're pretending to be Christians. But we know you live an easy life, don't you? A very easy life while people are starving. Shame. Out now. Out now. living real comfortable while the people starve, living real comfortable while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're all living real comfortable, aren't you? Shame on you. Do something. Stand with the Somalis. Stand with the Latinos. Quit ignoring this injustice. He wears a suit and tie, and he hangs out with Kristi Noem. How is that a Christian? You're supposed to accept all immigrants, are you not? Why are you not going down to Whipple and joining us in protest against this inhumanity? You claim to be a Christian, act like one. Yesterday, I went into a church with Nikki Armstrong and I protested these white supremacists. The pastor of the church is a fucking ICE leader in the city. How can you be a fucking pastor and be a fucking ICE agent? Fuck them. They want to come after me? Fuck them. How can they live so comfortably while the fucking people from Somalia that are in this country legally, they have fucking citizenship, can't even go to their mosque and pray? How do they deserve any fucking different? Fuck those fucking Nazis. Come and get me, Pam Bondi, you fucking traitorous bitch. All power to the people. Yesterday, I went...
For people who are wearing the uniform now, you think they're patriots?
I don't think so, especially those ICE agents.
That's what I'm talking
no.
about. Yeah.
No, they're terrorists. They're traitors.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for your service. I appreciate it.
Today we had the honor to protest with Nikki Armstrong and the Racial Justice Network. Just like Jesus did, we went into that church and we flipped tables peacefully. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are your people? Why are you?
Look at him. He's the Jesus now, y'all. Look at what he just said.
They're traitors.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for your service. I appreciate it.
He is the Jesus now. Look at him. This is your 2026 liberal white Jesus now. He's not a hippie. He's not a surfer dude. He's a dirty, stinking communist.
We had the honor to protest with Nikki Armstrong and the Racial Justice Network. Just like Jesus did, we went into that church and we flipped tables peacefully. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are your people? Why are you not at Whipple every day fighting for the humanity, standing for our people? Where are you? You drink your coffee, you got your jewelry, you have your nice clothes, but what do you do? What do you do to stand for your Somali and Latino communities? I'm not going to comment. You have no comment, exactly. As you can see, all these pretend Christians, all these comfortable white people who are living lavish, comfortable lives while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're living real life, nice lives with your lattes, doing absolutely nothing for your Latino and Somali brothers and sisters. You come here to a man wearing a suit. Is a preacher? Did Jesus wear a suit? Did Jesus profit off the words? No. Jesus would dine with immigrants. Do not touch me. Touch me again and see what happens. Hey, you can't. You are a fake Christian. Why are you not standing with your Somali and Latino communities? Why do I not? While people are starving. Kristi Noem. How is that a Christian? You're supposed to accept all immigrants, are you not? Why are you not going down to Whipple and joining us in protest against this inhumanity?
Into Minneapolis a little bit ago and did some reconnaissance on the ground, speaking to an organization there that's gearing up to for resistance and protest. I've been pleasantly surprised to see the community coming together. Diverse community. If you see this, when we first pulled up, we're like, wait a minute, which operation are we at? And as it turns out, because we're like, well, this is kind of MAGA coded, right? So the American flag or whatever, but these are resistance protesters. They're planning an operation that we're going to follow them on. I can't tell you exactly what they're doing, but it's called Operation Pull Up. And it's Nikki Armstrong, and she has been doing this since George Floyd, Dante Wright, and others, where they surprise people, catch them off guard, and hold them to account. And so that's what we're doing here. And then after we do this operation, you'll see it live. And these operations are surprise operations. Again, can't tell you where they're going.
So Once again, everybody on the internet wants Don Lemon arrested, including Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj posted on X earlier, Don cocksucking Lemon is disgusting. How dare you? I want that thug in jail. He would never do that to any other religion. Lock him up. So now, of course, you know, Don Lemon, he has to go to all his media people to cry and defend himself.
So let him do it. Bring it on.
You know, so that's the Don. That's the big picture. Smaller picture. Nicki Minaj and her response to all of this and the language that she used. I think it's interesting just because Nicki has been, over the last couple of months, made it clear that she is now publicly supporting, and I think maybe she has all along, but now publicly making known her support for the Trump administration and even the MAGA movement. The choice of words that she used to go after you, I'm not surprised she went after you.
Homophobic. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think you have to black it out. You should show it to people. She called me Don, sea sucker lemon is disgusting. Look, this is what I'll say to Nicki Minaj. I normally don't respond to things like this, but, F it. I'm going to do it this time. I think Nicki Minaj has made it very clear how she feels about African Americans in this country. I don't think she's one of them, obviously. And she should, under Trump's rules, she should be deported because I don't think, reportedly, that she is a legal citizen here. She is undocumented. And so she has shown her disdain for African Americans. So why are you supporting her? Why are you buying her records? She's also supporting, I have lots of gay friends who love Nicki Minaj. Why are you supporting this homophobic, bigoted, ignorant woman? You should not be supporting.
Why is it homophobic to describe what you most likely do with your husband? I mean, if you don't do that with your husband, I think your relationship is in trouble. You mean to tell me you don't do that with your husband, Don? Come on. Come on, Don. You mean to tell me you and your husband aren't that close? Like, really? If you and your husband don't engage in normal acts of gay coitus, I don't know if it's a relationship that you can be in, really. Come on, Don. Just keep it a buck. That's what you do, isn't it?
Supporting her. Nicki Minaj, this is clearly out of her depth. She doesn't understand politics. She doesn't understand journalism. And I'm not surprised that she is weighing in on something that is beyond her capacity. What I will say to her is, because she put a doll, I think she put the Chucky doll in there, a better symbol that should have been represented in that picture is a pick-me doll, because Nicki Minaj is a pick-me. She will do anything that is expedient.
Called Nicki Minaj a pick-me. I love how manosphere words get thrown around in normal, mainstream language. All while shitting on the manosphere at the same time. It's like when a nigga hates you but copy your style. Like, how you gonna talk shit about me, but you want to bust all my moves though? This is crazy work.
For her politically, and again, she's ignorant. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She's always weighing in on things that she doesn't know about. Nicki Minaj should just sit the fuck down. And by the way, isn't she married to an alleged pedophile? And she has the nerve to say something disparaging about something homophobic. I'm pretty sure that maybe that's part of the reason that she is cozying up to the Trump administration for some sort of leniency for her family members. And it's just very transparent. So Nicki Minaj, F off.
I mean, look, I'm not going to give Nicki a pass on that one. Like, your background, all that stuff crazy, Nicki. But Don, are you really going to act like that's not what your whole team is about? Come on, Don. I bet you, as a professional gay man, I know for a fact you have to be friends with other gay men who have literally bought babies. They adopted them on paper and made it all legal, but in the grand scheme of things, your friends have bought babies. I thought we stopped doing that in America. I didn't realize we were still allowed to buy people in America. All right? Unless you are rich gay men. Only rich gay men are allowed to buy people. right off the vine too. They get them from scratch. It's crazy work.
Stop being a homophobic bigot and, get a life and some brains.
Okay, we will leave it there. All right. I know you said you don't normally respond, but that was
that was a response.
That was definitely a response.
Thank you, Don. We really appreciate you coming on.
They single out and they're going to make the headline because it plays to their base, and their base is full of racist, bigoted homophobes like Nicki Minaj, by the way.
Oh, pop that up. So Nicki Minaj sent a tweet out. Dawn cocksucking, her words, lemon is disgusting. How dare you? I want that thug in jail. He would never do that to any other religion. Lock him up. And then she bizarrely puts a Chucky doll with it. So number one, the homophobia laced in that. But number two, the way this sect of Christianity, the white nationalist form of Christianity that I guess now Nicki Minaj attaches herself to, I'm like, good luck with that, sis. At the end of the day, you're still blind.
Are you telling me there was a white nationalist Christian church in Minnesota? Like right in Minneapolis, you guys have a white nationalist Christian church, really? Not off in the woods, somewhere where nobody really lives, not up in the mountains, not deep in the desert, not down in the bayou, but in Minneapolis, right in a major liberal blue city, you guys have a white nationalist Christian church. Really is that what I'm supposed to believe?
Black. but they use their religion as a weapon, but then they also use it as a shield, back and forth. They weaponize it, and then, oh my God, I'm a victim, don't attack my Christianity. And that's what Nicki Minaj just did right there. And I have news for Nicki Minaj. You think these white nationalists are going to accept you and your WAP? Just hide and wait. These people are serious about their racism, Miss Minaj.
Well, I'm glad you said WAP. And if you listen to Nicki Minaj's music and you're like, okay, that's Christianity. First of all, Jen,
her talking about WAP is just, it's ironic. I'm having all kind of thoughts in my mind. You and your white ass pussy. I'm just sorry. I couldn't help it.
How we met is that I was promoting my book on Christianity. And so Nicki Minaj is not a Christian. She knows nothing about a Christian. What she is a grifter. And instead of that Chucky doll, she should have had a pick-me doll on there, because Nicki Minaj is a pick-me. And she's not African-American. I think she's from the islands. She is a Black woman, but she doesn't understand the African-American struggle, so to speak. And if she did, she wouldn't be doing this and saying this on Martin Luther King Day, on the Martin Luther King holiday of all days, putting that out. Nikki.
Yeah, we're kind of past glazing MLK like that, I'm not gonna go all hard dumping on him like that. I'm gonna let the professionals tear Martin Luther King down intellectually and professionally. But I'm just gonna tell you, we're done with the MLK glaze. It's a little too thick anyway.
Nicki Minaj doesn't care about Black people. She doesn't care about gay people. Those are two of her biggest supporters and the people who make her rich. And if I was, as a Black and gay person, I'm not supporting her. And so if you're Black and you hear what Nicki Minaj is doing, and she's sitting on the stage with Charlie Kirk's widow, who Charlie Kirk, sadly, who should not have died. You have to, say that caveat.
And notice what he's done. Well, what has been done with everything Black in terms of oppression, right? Because Black has been intimately linked to the idea of oppression, anybody else or any other group that is also linked to oppression is now linked to Black people, which is why gay and Black have to go together now. And so I just resent the fact that, one, being Black automatically means you're oppressed, especially in America. You can talk that shit to some other Black people, but not in America. Like, we got a lot going on over here. We got millionaires, we got athletes, we got office workers, we got regular people. Got butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers and shit. We got niggas pulling scams. Got niggas selling books on the corner. We got all kind of shit going on over here. We don't really need the oppression card no more. But because we got to be oppressed, we got to be gay too. That's the downside of being the black oppressed. Like, as long as you're automatically black and oppressed, you're low-key gay too.
The way that he did, it was uncalled for. However, he talked shit about black people a lot. He said racist, bigoted things a lot. And she's cozying up to his wife and to his organization and to all of the other bigots in the MAGA movement. And now she is calling a gay man a cocksucker. That's homophobia. So
if it's accurate, how is it homophobia? That's like going down to the jail and calling one of them niggas a criminal. It's like, well, bruh, I mean, come on, bruh. Look at you, bro. Come on. I can't call a nigga that be doing crime a criminal. That's all I'm asking. Like, theoretically, like, if you know for a fact a dude does a crime and you call him a crime doer, like, if you know a dude does evil things and you call him an evil doer, like, if you know a nigga like bakes cakes that are really, really delicious and you call him a baker, is it baker phobia?
If we were in the day where we bought records, I would be burning Nicki Minaj's records today. So I am so glad that I have never been a Nicki Minaj.
Don Lemon, if this was a day where we still burn crosses, Don Lemon would be burning a cross today. The only thing that makes him not do it is that it's kind of not cool. His team doesn't think it's cool yet. But if his team brought it back again, he would definitely burn a cross just because.
And
he felt cute. Why not?
I don't know her music. There is nothing on my playlist that's ever Nicki Minaj, and there isn't going to be, because she is an ignorant pick-me, and I choose not to pick her. And so should you.
Yeah, I agree with you. And you know what I think we have right now?
Don Lemon versus the whole church. And don't get me wrong, like, he literally committed federal crimes on video. Now, it's only a matter of legal maneuvering as to what actually happens beyond that. But he is on video committing crimes.
Attorney General Pam Bondi posted on social media and appeared to call this the intimidation of Christians, saying, quote, if state leaders refuse to act responsibly to prevent lawlessness, this Department of Justice will remain mobilized to prosecute federal crimes and ensure that the rule of law prevails. So what is the law the DOJ could use to prosecute these protesters?
Well, interestingly, it could also sort of fall into the civil rights category as well, that the rights of these individuals in the church to practice their religion are being impeded by these protesters. And so the Justice Department could potentially look at whether the activities these individuals are engaging in goes beyond what there would be their protected activities. You know, this all comes in the environment, Pamela, of the court order that was issued by a federal judge in Minnesota last Friday, limiting activities that ICE agents could do with respect to protesters. Justice Department now, it sounds, is coming down with a different way that they want to engage in protection of civil rights, protection of First Amendment activities in particular.
And again, First Amendment activities give protesters the right to make their voices heard, peaceful assembly, right, on public property, but it's different when you get into private property.
It's different on private property. This is their First Amendment right to engage in their religion. The protesters, are allowed to engage in their activity, but yes, private places have an ability to not have that type of activity in their place. And the question that we're coming to is, how is law enforcement going to protect the rights of protesters to engage in their First Amendment protected activity, at the same time not be intimidating other people for whatever rights they are engaged in.
Hey, shout out to Smarty Pants with the $2 super chat. He says this makes January 6th look like July 4th. Appreciate you guys coming out and supporting the show tonight. Hit that like button, hit that super chat button from me. Shout out to my man Gecko Sonic with the $1.99 federal prison for linen. Well, lemon rather. Shout out to my man Gecko with the $2. Thank you for coming out, y'all.
Come on, share your dollar. Give me your dollar. Share your dollar with me. Come on.
And more safe. Now, you actually are part of the movement to abolish ICE. I think back in 2018, you introduced a bill around that that would have sort of moved its funding and positions to other agencies. Do you want to see the return to the slogan abolish ICE and a return to that movement?
Adi, I never used the words abolish ICE. And if you look carefully at that bill that I introduced, what I said is that the agency itself of ICE, which never existed prior to 2001, as you remember, the Department of Homeland Security was created in the wake of 9/11, and a whole number of different departments and agencies were put together under DHS. That's when ICE was created. So my bill back then, and I never used the language abolish ICE, was really about restructuring DHS, moving the enforcement activities of ICE to another place and making sure that we had very good guardrails and accountability in place. I still believe that that is the decision we should be having. And at a minimum, what we should be doing right now when we don't have the gavels, we're not in control, is saying that we're not going to fund another penny to ICE and CBP without significant accountability and guardrails. Things like you can't arrest somebody without a judicial warrant, that you have to make sure that bond hearings are legitimately processed, that people have access to those, that people can't be masked. ICE and CBP agents can't be masked and hiding their identities while they're in communities. These are the kinds of things that I think every American agrees with and is horrified by as we watch the scenes out of Minneapolis.
The reason why I ask is,
you know, I just found something I was looking for. I went to Don Lemon's channel, right? And he actually live streamed for hours at a time, for like 4 hours long. He was on the ground for hours in Minneapolis yesterday. And mysteriously, though, all of the church footage from his live stream is gone. And now I found somebody else who managed to capture some of the church footage from his live stream. So let's take a look, y'all.
Let me do this. I can't see anything on
That's
that
okay,
side.
I got it.
Just park. Just hit park.
Just what we need. Don Lemon showing up on the scene in Minneapolis and inserting himself in the middle of a church with a group of protesters shutting down the service.
If you guys are here, make sure you hit the like, make sure you hit the thumbs up. Let's see what our folks over on Twitch are doing. Twitch, we're back.
Sunday morning church.
Yeah, okay, we'll see.
He follows a group of protesters into a church. I don't know who thought this was a good idea.
After we do this operation, you'll see it live. And these operations are surprise operations. Again, can't tell you where they're going. Okay, so I am going in.
So he had foreknowledge of the crime and everything, right? Like documenting all of his crime for us to remember and enjoy.
Side now. What? Where's my phone? I need my phone.
This is only going to make things worse. This is crazy footage.
Hey, Meta, record. So activists are now in the church.
So we're hearing the hands up, don't shoot, same as the BLM protests.
This is what the First Amendment is about the freedom to protest. I'm sure people here don't like it, but protests are not comfortable.
But your freedoms cannot impede the constitutional freedoms of others, and freedom of religion is one of those. This doesn't make sense. I can't believe I'm even saying these words. You can't invade a church.
And there are people here who are, I'm looking at a young man who's in the corner. He's frightened, he's scared, he's crying. People are leaving church.
Don Lemon seems happy about this, the fact that someone's cowering in the corner, scared of the mob.
So you're not the only one who noticed that. I noticed that too. He was very, very into the whole thing. Telling you, he's having the time of his life. He's like a gay in Boys Town.
One of the members who looks to be really upset, a young person, the pastor is trying to calm him down over there. Perhaps they should come in, pray together, and talk together. But anyways.
Does it look like they are willing to come in and pray and talk?
If I were the pastor, I would offer a prayer. I would try to calm things down and say, listen, talk.
That's why you're not a pastor. You're a gay man married to another man.
We're all citizens. We're all believers and Christians.
You think they're all believers? How could you possibly know that? It's such a silly claim.
I don't know if everybody is, but everybody's a human being. Let's work together and talk about these things.
So what do you think is going to lead to more dialogue? This team mentality that you're participating in?
It may look like MAGA coded, but there's a reason they have so many white people here. I'm just going to be honest. It's because of the operation that they're doing today. It's important to have allies, as they said, white allies here.
And there's an interesting.
Isn't it always white coded when you guys are fighting for immigration? Isn't it mostly white people? All of the protests everywhere, no King's Day, all of these things. It's always white coded. Bunch of white women.
And clip of him grouping up with these protesters, and this guy asked him, which team are you on? He actually used the word team. And of course, we know which team Don Lemon's on. He loves this game.
This is a white supremacist agenda.
Why do you say that?
Fuck off.
No, dude, I'm here.
Whose team are you on?
Come on, man.
Don Lemon.
This is Don Lemon.
All right, man.
All right. Well,
sorry, brother. I'm so sorry.
Like, really?
No, I'm so sorry.
On our team.
Don Lemon is on their team. They should all go to jail together.
Yeah, so why do you say that?
He's on our team, so treat him like a real human being.
And there is a member of the church who's willing to talk to Don Lemon.
Church?
What's that?
You're a member of the church?
I do.
How do you feel about this?
I don't necessarily agree with everything that's going on in the Twin Cities right now, but I don't think it's good to fight fire with fire. I think it's good to speak up. I think it's good to protest, but I think it's better to do it in a peaceful way. I don't think the answer is going into God's church.
You don't think this is peaceful?
You're shutting down a church service by shouting people down.
Well, it's trespassing.
Nobody fighting.
It's trespassing.
He just doesn't contend with the trespassing point at all.
How would you feel if I went to your house and I started yelling?
It depends on what I did.
It depends on what I did. You would never tolerate someone coming into your house.
Technically, only the church members can claim nonviolence and being peaceful at this moment. The invaders can never claim to be peaceful and nonviolent.
A lot of yelling in my house growing up. We still loved each other.
Yeah, but
you can see it on his face. He's just like, yeah, okay, but you really think this is okay? This is the worst part, the way he is trying to justify all of this.
That doesn't necessarily mean that yelling is the answer, right?
I'm sorry?
That doesn't necessarily mean yelling is the answer, right?
No, but I think that's the way you work things out is that you talk to each other, you disagree. Sometimes it's heated, sometimes it's not.
Let's look at this other clip, and you tell me if this is not just blatant yelling.
You're living real life, nice lives with your lattes, doing absolutely nothing for your Latino and
See, everybody's got the same clips out here. Oh, man. Don Lemon is invading churches just before MLK. This is yesterday, right? Today is MLK Day. And you know what? Because today is MLK Day, we got to talk about some MLK stuff too. We got to bring up the MLK thing, man. You know, it is the day. Today's the day. Shout out to MLK, y'all.
This makes Jim Crow look like Jim Eagle.
I've come to talk to you tonight about national unity, the strength of the nation. I wish the skies were clear. I wish the waters were calm. I wish we enjoyed the certainty and the security that we once enjoyed.
Now, this is from Chad O. Jackson. He's working on an MLK series, I guess it is. dropping a lot of the real facts about the civil rights movement. A lot of us uninitiated Negroes don't know about.
We have recently been reduced to just pigmentation, Negro Americans. They call us now the blacks.
Yes, I'm black. I'm proud of it. I'm black and beautiful.
One adjective explains all of us. Not doctors, lawyers, businessmen, laborers, preachers, the blacks. This nation today is more insecure in all of its history. Enemies around us, both home and abroad. We face one of the greatest military machines since the days of Napoleon, and they are determined that we will not last.
The display of military power is impressive.
We have within our borders divisions,
demonstrations continue to mar the president's travel.
fears, animosities, misunderstandings, prejudices.
You know, I see one big difference between back then and right now is nowadays when the liberals come out and protest and riot and all that, the only people to counter them are the actual like cops, law enforcement or whatnot. Back then it was like, you know, gang on gang violence almost. You know, it was my team versus your team. Now there's only one team versus the government.
Conflicts, a will to destroy, group against group. These are dangerous times. There were some people who said, it is not by obedience to law, it's by disobedience to law that we can have our strength, and our power, and our security.
And we feel that we have to do it this way in order to bring the evil out into the open.
The Office of Economic Opportunity.
The federal government has set out teams to find out what is wrong in the United States. Sociologists have studied it, and they talk about money.
Many aspects can only be successfully dealt with at a national level. For example, wages.
And that is another distraction, trying to convince us it's all about money. The difference between black and white, it's all about money. No, it's not that simple.
I want to tell you tonight what is wrong with America. Basically, the basic problem facing the United States of America today is we're trying to take a foreign ideology.
Are the communists running this conference?
And solve America's problems.
The Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the Young Socialist Alliance, the Du Bois Club.
There is an ideology which says that the future is based on class struggle.
We are poverty stricken and we have been at the bottom too long. All right. And we are determined to come up.
That same school of thought, when it moves among people, if it does not find a conflict, it creates one.
It is necessary to create a problem in order to get to the real solution of the problem.
That ideology says that there can be no freedom for individual citizens until every order, every form of government is destroyed, but the one in which they believe.
That there must be a restructuring of the architecture of our society where values are concerned.
This whole thing is a giant power struggle for who gets to run shit in America. And not that one side is perfect and the other side is blameless, but one side is definitely way more evil than the other.
You cannot spend enough money to buy patriotism. You cannot spend enough money to buy loyalty. You cannot spend enough money to buy character. For morals cannot be purchased with money, and cash is no guarantee of character.
You know, the other day we were talking about this new Black Panther Party and how they're on this they're on the march again. You know, that white woman died and now the new Black Panthers are getting active. They're out in the streets of Philly protecting their block in case the ICE agents want to run up.
General Mike Payne, national leader of the original Black Panther Party here. We have received many emails from people asking, what is our official stance on the ICE situation? I need you all to listen and understand what I'm telling you. We, the original Black Panther Party, in good conscience, cannot risk life and limb of our people for groups of people who have not risked life and limb for us. Just because we have a common enemy, that does not equate to us having a common problem. If this was so, now listen to me. If we had a common problem and enemy, where were the immigrants or even the Black immigrants as a whole when Breonna Taylor, Tyree Nichols, Trayvon Martin, Rollin Hill, Ahmaud Arbery, Eric Garner, Michael Brown, where were you at when our people are murdered in the streets, slaughtered in cold blood by an agency that now hunts you? But now that injustice has touched your door, we have something in common. The Black agenda must come first. We are still working on in-house unification. We cannot afford to divide our ranks to help individuals who have not been reciprocatory. Black citizens, we are not the target. Sure, like anything else, a few Black citizens get stopped, hassled, and ID'd. That's been happening to us for 400 plus years. The difference now is we aren't who they're looking for. We don't mean this in a harsh way to any community that migrated here and are targets of ICE. But legal or illegally, this has been our experience since our shackled feet touched the Virginia soil. Welcome to America.
You know, I just realized Don Lemon actually went live himself to cover this issue. And I think we're going to pull up Don Lemon and his homies talking about this issue.
DL Hughley, my friend. DL called me just before the show and cheered me up. And DL, come on into the program.
Hey, baby boy.
On screen next to what?
Yeah, I've never been next to a Black Klansman before. It's Don Lemon's gonna start Black Klansman 2. It's crazy. It's crazy.
DL.
It's crazy.
So you saw what's happening, right? You probably know more about it than I do because I've been so busy all day. What do you think?
I do. I think this is an example of them perverting Dr. King's legacy and the history of civil rights and the history of race relations in this country to their own ends. It's interesting that people are angry with you for, I guess Black Lives Matter found out that somebody associated with the church in St. Paul was the acting director of ICE, and Black Lives Matter staged the protest that you happened to cover. But what's more interesting is Black Lives Matter was protecting and fighting for the rights of Renee Good, a white woman, while All Lives Matter were paying money to her murderers. And so it's just that we find ourselves, and it is Dr. King's birthday, and we're honoring it. But we got to remember, Dr. King gave a speech. One of his famous speeches was a eulogy for poor Black girls that were killed in the Birmingham church bombing.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can't use church. They're angry at you using church for a speech, but Black churches have been bombed. In 1996, there were 200 Black churches that were burned.
Ironically, that's literally the reason behind the law that Don Lemon is going to be charged with. That is exactly why Don Lemon might go to jail, because Black churches used to get bombed. And so eventually the Civil Rights Department said, you know what, we need to make it a crime to attack places of worship and whatnot. And now look at you, Don. Now look at you now, Don.
12 years ago, Dylan Roof slaughtered 9 people at a church. So you can burn churches, you can shoot churches, you can bomb churches, but don't protest in churches. It's the craziest thing.
Wait, talk more about that. But don't protest the churches. I mean, they weren't so mad when you protested and bombed the Black churches. So what are you saying explicitly, specifically?
I think Jesus protested in his temple. He protested in the church. He didn't like the greed and corruption we saw. There are 2 times in the gospel Jesus protested twice. So if he can do it, you can too.
Yeah.
I don't think Jesus was a protester, though. It's a crazy way to try to own Jesus now. Now they want to try to claim Jesus now.
It's ironic that the very people who
let me just clear you real quick. I wasn't protesting. I was just reporting. I wasn't there.
Of course you weren't. I understand that. But you're going to explain that to Can you guys get my picture? I've never taken a picture with a Klansman before. It's so crazy. Of course you were. But the more salient point is that the very people who are angry that protests erupted in church are the very people who tried to, this administration tried to get courts to allow them to arrest migrants in church.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to arrest them in church.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing about church is Jesus told us exactly how he wanted.
It's crazy. Biden had no problem locking up church members and priests and old ladies and whatnot.
Us to treat the stranger. He wanted us to feed them. He wanted to clothe them. He wanted to protect them. He didn't say, hey, after all that, throw them in vans and drive them to Venezuela. He didn't say
that. Yes, you're right. And look, I want you to stand by because I want to bring someone in. And that is Mr. Attorney General. Are you there? The Attorney General of Minnesota, Mr. Keith Ellison, is here. Thank you, Attorney General, for joining me. Thank you for joining DL.
Hey, fellas.
Wait a minute, I got a Klansman and an Attorney General. I've never been in this situation before. This is
first time for everything, brother.
Now they're gonna have like a pro-Black brother powwow. This is like the criminals celebrating after a crime.
Attorney General, I know you know what's going on. I'm sure you've heard of what's going on. What do you think of this and what happened at the church and all that?
Well, let me tell you, I think that, the protest is fundamental to American society. This country started in a protest. And, it's freedom of expression. People have a right to lift up their voices and make their peace. And none of us are immune from the voice of the public. So quite honestly, I think that you got the First Amendment, freedom of religion, and the First Amendment, freedom of expression. And I think that, it's just something you got to live with in a society like this.
And, this is another reason why the Insurrection Act is getting thrown around lately, because you not only have roving bands of lawless people committing all types of violence and civil disruption, basically bullying the law-abiding population of the town, but they have cover from their elected officials, from their judges, from the councilmen, from the attorney generals and whatnot. This is why the feds would have to come in and crack that shit open.
So, this administration is real tender about things when it comes to their own interests, but they don't care about the same things when those things don't lie in their favor. So, they're getting tender about a church service now, but these people they're arresting people in clinics, schools, churches, anywhere they choose to do it, and so they don't really care about sacred and sensitive places unless it works in their favor. And they get real sensitive and real about police until those police are protecting democracy. Then they don't care about police suddenly. I mean, these people are highly selective, and I think that if people want to protest the behavior of a particular religious leader, then people are allowed to do that. That's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah. Is this an attack on, to me, it feels like an attack on the First Amendment and trying to, and this is just my assessment, you don't have to agree with this, Mr. Attorney General, but trying to tie me as a journalist to turn me into an activist, and I'm not. I was not there in activism at all. I was there just simply chronicling what they were doing, which is what journalists do all the time.
Well,
you weren't chronicling. You were attempting to convince the people in the church that what you were doing, what everyone else in there was doing, was actually right and just. You were not chronicling. You said it yourself. You were trying to give that guy the facts. That's not chronicling.
Let me just remind you, Don, they're over here throwing comedians. They're over here throwing comedians off the air for telling jokes. So Jimmy Kimmel is off the air because he's making jokes. They won't. The Mad King won't let you say jokes about him. So the First Amendment is completely optional in their eyes. And let me tell you, the First Amendment includes freedom of the press, freedom of religion, freedom of expression, freedom of assembly, freedom to redress grievances. So that is absolutely under attack when FCC licenses are on the line based on whether or not you're congenial in the eyes of the president. So yeah, join the club. I know as journalists want to be objective, neutral, but the truth is, if you have an unjust ruler, objectivity is a threat to them. And so, sorry, but that's how it is, friend. Your First Amendment prerogatives are interfering with their tyrannical prerogatives, and that's how it is.
Can I ask you something, Dale? You can jump in if you have a question, but I want to ask you about what I've heard is there's the FACE Act that they want to try to prosecute people for the activists, and they're saying that with me, but again, I'm not an activist. I'm not one of the protesters. And then what is it called? The KKK Act, right, DL, that they're saying?
Sure.
The Ku Klux Klan Act. Can you tell us about that? Are you familiar with that?
No, I can only say this.
I was asking the Attorney General if he's familiar.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the FACE Act. In Minnesota, we uphold the right of a woman to choose, and some of the activists, will, sort of so we're in both.
Oh, you have state crimes against that kind of thing as well. Is that what I'm hearing? Did he break state and federal laws about interfering with religious worship?
The law has to do with whether or not people's freedom to protest, generally regarding reproductive clinics and things like that. So that's the FACE Act. And then, you have, but how are they tying you into it? That is escaping me.
I don't know. There's someone in here saying, Don, you were chanting. I never chanted at all. Someone said, Don, you were chanting. Never chanted. That's not what I was doing at all.
Well, if you're chanting, Don, let me just tell you, when we're not chanting cannot be a crime. It's freedom of expression, right? I can tell you that, you may not have been chanting, or you may have been, I don't know. You say you weren't chanting, I believe you. but chanting can never be the basis of a criminal act, right?
You know what's
In
interesting to
America,
me?
you can chant.
What's
Go for it.
hard for me to accept is when in Charlottesville they chanted Jews will not replace us. That was protected. There were good people on both sides.
Oh wow!
I have fought and advocated for the right of everybody to say anything they want to. I'm a proponent of the First Amendment. It is clear that this administration and MAGA in
Charlottesville was an actual sanctioned protest. They didn't invade anybody's church or anything like that. The liberals came to blow up the protest. The liberals are the ones who made it a big thing.
General despises protesters way more than they despise pedophiles.
Wow.
When somebody says stand back and stand by, when they say racist things, their speech is protected. And I advocate for that. I want everybody to be able to say what they say. But let somebody speak up in opposition. You have an administration right now that is more concerned about the rights of Iranians to protest against a government that they think is tyrannical and brutal, but using the same power of the United States of America to squelch that same speech there. It's insane to me.
Deeply hypocritical, and I'm glad you pointed it out for people listening. You know, when I heard him when he was talking about Iran, I was thinking that this guy has seen the light about all his bad behavior here. But he meant Iran. He's for human rights in Iran, freedom of expression in Iran, but not in the United States.
Right. Yeah. So how is that America first? How is it that you will protect the rights of people thousands of miles? You're willing to use our national treasure and our military might. People forget that at the same time he used military prowess in Libya and
people really hate the fact that Trump not only used the military, but he used it well. Like, we got in and out of Venezuela before anybody even knew what happened. It was beautiful, technically. You just don't see presidenting like that often.
How you got here, and you won't admit that is the reason why we're this isn't about immigration. It isn't about ICE. It isn't about Trump. It is about suicidal empathy that is driven by a rescue fantasy. You have all of these young, middle-aged women going out there because they have some kind of emptiness in their lives that are going out there in this kind of rescue delusion, helping people they don't know, strangers who are guilty of crimes. How can you defend that? This is not protesters going to a church. That is a mob. The people that invented the phrase safe spaces are breaking it up, frightening kids, right? These are the people that call us fascists and they're hunting people. These are the people that claim to defend women and yet are defending men who abuse women. These are the people that call us homophobic and yet they want to out ICE guys for using, I don't know, gay sex apps. Let's be honest here. Fry's a pussy. He's scared of these people, or else he would stand up for it. Calling it love, there's no such thing as a mob with love. And imagine showing this tape to Don Lemon 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and saying, is this where you saw yourself, Lemon? Crashing a church service, scaring kids, attacking a pastor? Was this your hope and dream to do this? Radicalization is gradual. Black Lives Matter is now bad guys matter. And now you'll defend anything. You're defending rapists. These are the people you're defending.
On what
and I'm going to go back. No. You had your chance. You brought this up. Where are the police? You know, when you have Hamas supporters and Jewish students, police make the separation. Antifa, Proud Boys, police make the separation. Pro-life and feminists, police make the separation. Somehow, that separation is not even here, even when the leaders are framing this as protesters versus persecutors, because that's part of this fantasy world that you live in, and yet they decide that they don't need cops to separate it. The ICE agents aren't supposed to deal with that. Mm-hmm. That's what the police do. So you got to ask yourself, why aren't the police there? Because it's a deliberate thing to create this spectacle. And then I'll finish. Mm-hmm. This is not an isolated thing. These rescue
and that is also the reason why Jacob Frey and Tim Walz are under investigation now because this is basically collusion with a violent, angry mob. And you know what? Another thing, as much as they complain about ICE agents wearing masks and you can't identify them, most of the protesters are wearing masks and you can't identify them either. And now Tim Walz and Jacob Frey are on the side of maskless, unidentifiable, violent, angry people. At some point this year, I do feel like the Insurrection Act will be called.
Fantasies exist because the real power of women, which is in the roles of community, whether it's wife, mother, work, teaching, that stuff has been marginalized by our modern leftist culture that has to be replaced by activism. Your life is meaningless unless you're out there screaming in a cop's face. You have all these sad people out there in this liberation role playing, and you're egging it on. You should not be egging this on, Jessica. You know, we had this. This is a time for brave women.
You think your little death threats are going to intimidate me? You know how many fucking times I should have been dead? I'm a fucking combat infantry veteran. I'm lucky I fucking made it home. My life has been hard. You can't scare me. You can't fucking intimidate me. And even if you do come for me, and even if you do fucking kill me, as Fred Hampton said, you can kill the revolutionary, but not the revolution. All power to the people.
White guys quoting Fred Hampton now. This is wild stuff.
I will not be intimidated by you fucking Nazis. Fuck you. You think your little death threats are...
Sit down. We need to have a conversation. What on earth were you guys thinking about invading a church? Oh, doesn't matter. We have the right to protest. We're going to go break in a church while people are worshiping and disturb them. How crazy are you? And how insane are you supporting this stuff? So the people who want to support people invading churches and protesting, I don't know what to think anymore. This protest, no, these riots that are happening in the state of Minnesota needs to stop. Because you guys are going way too far. Now, invading a church, that's way, way too far. And I hope they're all prosecuted for that. What on earth, people? Stop acting like children.
You know, when activists feel really comfortable storming into a church service and then calling that free speech, you do realize that we're no longer debating tolerance. We're witnessing an invasion. This past Lord's Day, leftist agitators walked into a Minneapolis church, disrupted the worship service, shouted political slogans, and then claimed a First Amendment right to do so. While Don Lemon, he played along claiming that, you know, he's not part of the protest. He's just documenting what happened. But then he tried to pretend as if what he was doing was legitimate journalism. Folks, especially if you name the name of Christ, I need you to listen to me carefully. None of this was an accident. This was not activism. This was a test, and please believe these Marxist maggots are not done. Let's get into this.
Yeah. We'll see what happens with Don Lemon and this church thing. Like we all heard, the DOJ is filing charges right now. I mean, they're looking into charges right now. They haven't filed them officially yet, but we are going to see just what happens we are going to take a look at this probably in another day or two. If they arrest Don Lemon, well, you know, that's a whole other show we're going to have to do. If Don Lemon goes to jail, we got to go live immediately.
Watch this guy here. Look, he's hugging his kid. And, you know, I imagine it's uncomfortable and traumatic for the people here. But again, careful. It's very slippery right here. Yeah. It's uncomfortable and traumatic for the people here. But that's what really, careful, please. Really slippery. Not kidding. That's what protesting is about. And so, watch this guy here. Look, he's hugging his kid. And, you know,
but yeah, like I said, Don Lemon's probably going to go to jail, or at least face charges. You know what I mean? We'll see. We'll see, because he's hiding behind the cover of journalism. But at the same time, it's just a matter of how aggressive the prosecutors really want to be about this kind of thing. Now, as for everybody else on video whose face was visibly on camera, well, that's a different thing totally.
He wasn't present there. Were you hoping that he was going to be there yesterday?
It didn't matter to me whether he was present or not. The reality is that it's unconscionable and unacceptable for someone to claim to serve as a pastor while also being responsible for a lot of what is happening here in our community as a result of thousands of ICE agents descending upon the state of Minnesota and the Twin Cities in particular. To think about someone claiming to be a pastor. I watched part of a sermon that he gave on Saturday that was online, you know, to see his demeanor, you know, looking calm, looking like he cared. But then on the flip side, being an overseer for these agents that, again, are brutalizing people in our community. I mean, cutting women out of seatbelts in their cars, dragging them out of cars, breaking their car windows, attacking children on school grounds, spraying them with pepper spray. I don't understand how you can reconcile the two.
Yeah, so that is the news for the day. Don Lemon got himself into some trouble. And on MLK Day, the law said we're going to have to come for him. Oh, let me see. Let me play this other lady's video. Let me see what this one last lady got to say. One last video before we get out of here. You know, we got to get to Keisha's opinion on this. There's nothing without Keisha's take.
Charges get mentioned, and all of a sudden, no, Donnie Don have nothing to do with it.
The MAGA administration and the fake news MAGAs are losing their mind over something that's not even true.
We're fake news. Oh, okay.
So let me just make it clear, because this assistant attorney general, I don't know, what's his name? Something Hammett, Gillen or whatever.
Aren't you a journalist? Couldn't you research the motherfucker's name before you did this video?
I had no affiliation to that organization. I didn't even know they were going to this church until we followed them there.
When you followed them there?
Chronicling protests. Once the protest started in the church, we did an act of journalism, which was report on it and talk to the people who were involved. Which
once they started getting loud, that's when your journalism kicked in?
Included the pastor, members of the church, and members of the organization.
Why are you interviewing the pastor when the pastor's preaching? This was his freaking point.
It's called journalism.
No, it's called interrupting a church service.
First Amendment, all that stuff.
First Amendment gives me the right to go in somebody's property and rudely interrupt. That's what it gives me, my privilege.
For all of you people who believe in the First Amendment, absolutist, there you go.
Nah, look, I'm trying not to curse on this post. You could have walked your butt across the street and waited until the service was over. You could have waited until the service was over. If you weren't a part of it.
So why don't you talk to the actual person who is in charge of the organization?
No, boo. We're talking to you, who should have known better with your journalistic behavior.
And whose idea it was to have the protests at the church before you start blaming me for stuff for which you have no idea.
What we know is you walked your black ass up in there, dude. That's what we know. With your bitch ass. Sorry, God, I could not help it. Oh my God. We know you was in the church, Don, shoving a mic in the pastor face.
Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Can't stand my president, but copy everything he do. We ain't paying no attention to no matters you got.
Do me a favor, guys. Hit that like button on your way out. Appreciate you guys coming out today. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to wrap this one up. Shout out to the DOJ. Shout out to Don Lemon's future cellmate. I'm sure Don and his future cellmate are going to have great conversations.
That nigga gay, nigga gay, nigga gay, nigga gay, nigga gay, nigga gay.
Aspiring to be patriarchs like what white men have, that isn't freedom. That isn't going to help anybody. It's certainly not going to help black people.
It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done.